Next up on the number one tee.
Well, hello, and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori, and we have quite the show for you today. First of all, Tara Bateman only shows up when there's a birthday in the house. Happy birthday, Tara.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us the magic number?
I don't want to shoot it on the front nine. How about that? Or the back nine.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we know that.
Double 21 and add 2. Add 1. Add
Wow.
1.
43. Woo!
43. Kim, remember 43?
20 years ago.
She could be our daughter, too.
Do you remember what you were up to when you were the agile 43-year-old?
Yeah, I was working as a cop.
Does everyone know that Kim Eaton was a cop? No, seriously. What was that whole part of your life like when you were like being a cop?
Badass.
Yeah, I bet.
She was pretty cute in her uniform.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, no.
Kim, can we get a photo so that we can post to our listeners? Because I actually have never seen a photo of you in your cop uniform.
Yes, we can probably do that. Do you want the one with the mullet?
Yeah.
Or the
What's wrong with the mullet?
Yeah, let's see the mullet.
No.
I got complimented on my mullet yesterday.
Boom.
It's kind of like the lipstick.
Oh, yeah. That was. I have that picture too, Tori, if you need that.
Yeah,
Everardo has one. He posted it on Facebook last night.
I like it. So we have Kim Eaton here, and then we have Pat Kuntz here too. Thanks, Pat, for coming on
You're
today.
welcome.
Okay, so we have Pat here today because we're just coming off the Desert Classic, and Pat was an integral part of making our pace of play and just general fun meter up at the Desert Classic because you were at hole 11 the entire time.
All 3 days, and I'll tell you, I had the best time of my life.
And everyone just loved you.
I loved everyone.
It was fabulous. So we had you on hole number 11, which is a par 3 over the water. It's usually between 110 and 120 yards ish. Okay, so like a 60 degree for Kim. But
Yeah, right.
I think she went in water the last day.
No, I didn't go in the water the last day. I went the second day because my partner was already a foot away. So.
Oh, really? So you just wanted to lose that ball? You just
No,
didn't
I
care.
fished it out along with about 6 others.
Nice.
Oh, that's on my etiquette.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to get into that. But this show is going to be all about the top 5 rules that you have to know when you're going into a tournament. So most rules. I mean, how many rules are there, Pat? Like 3,000?
No,
Golf
there's really not. There's only about 32.
There's only 32 rules?
Yeah, but there's like
You can-
32.2,
you can make-
0.4,
You can
0.8,
make
0.9.
100 rules out of those 32.
Okay, yeah. So there's a lot to know when it
Yes.
comes to golf rules. But these 5 rules we're going to talk about today are the ones that really you should know without having to ask for help. Now, a lot of times I still ask for help if it's right there just to make sure I'm doing it right in a tournament situation. But these are the rules that really you should know on your own, the general on what to do. So you are at hole number 11 at Papago for the Desert Classic. Right. Again, par 3 over the water, but it's a yellow line. Right. So let's go over first the difference between a red line and a yellow line for a penalty area.
Well, your red line is a lateral penalty area.
The best ever.
Yes.
So when you go into a lateral, you can take 2 clubs and come out to where you went in.
As long as you crossed.
As long as you went in, or you can play it in the penalty area.
So there's always the option of playing it in the penalty area.
And then you can also go back. If you have a line that you can come back on, you can go back as far as you want. This one's a hard one to figure out because the water has to be across from you to get it to come back. But the 2 club links is so easy for everybody to just go from there.
But just going through it, you have to first determine where your ball crossed the red line.
Right.
And you can always go back to your original spot.
Yes, so that's always an option. Even with, when we're going to get into unplayables and lost or OB, obviously that is your option. But
But you have to remember too that if you're in a penalty area and you want to play the ball and there's something in your way, you can pick up almost anything now.
Oh, you can?
Yes.
The rules changed
the
recently.
new rules. So if you're
And you can ground
And
your
you can
club.
ground your
in
club
there
or
and
your
you
bag.
want to play it, you can pick up rocks and leaves as long as you don't move your ball. And you can ground your club.
Didn't we see a video of someone hitting it out of the water?
Oh, yeah, I have a video of some lady on number 1. And all she hit was water.
No ball came
No
out.
ball came out.
So why do you think they changed that rule though? That now you can ground your club, and now you can move things in the penalty
I
area.
think because there was so many things that you could be up against that could maybe give you free relief or not give you free relief, and they just got tired of.
Don't you also
trying to
think that
figure it out?
Pace of play.
Well, pace of play,
Pace
but
of play.
don't you think that because like if you're in a water hazard, especially not here in Arizona, but like there's cattails or there's like high grass, right? And so what's considered grounding your club? Is it the top of the grass? Is it the bottom of the grass? Is it the ground?
'Cause
Like,
you
so I
can't
think that
touch-
there's
Yeah, you're not supposed to touch the grass. So there was just so many things to think about, and so many things that can get people in trouble. Mm-hmm. And
Okay, so what's the biggest difference between a red line and a yellow line? Because at Papago for number 11, it is a yellow line, which you
yellow.
really don't see as much as a red.
right, the yellow means that you're going directly across water. So that in that case, yellow means you can never go forward. So say your ball crosses the water, which many people did, but the ball came right back into the water. It doesn't matter whether it crossed the line or just crossed the water. You have to take it back on the other side of the water to hit it.
Wow.
So a red line, you always got the option. If it were red there, if it crossed the red line, you would be able to drop on that side of the water.
What was your biggest question that you had while you were there?
Why do we have to come back?
And also there is is the drop area at Papago, is that an official drop area? Like, can you talk about that? A drop area has to be official. Sometimes it looks
Well-
like a drop area, but it's not an official one. And
I kind of made it official
I love you for doing that. So
because they had a drop area on the teeing ground right at the front of the tee. So here we are again, hitting 5 yards less than what we were hitting to begin with. So it puts it all back in their head. I can't get it across. I can't get it across.
Yeah.
So I moved it up to the little
Mound.
mound.
Yeah.
And that's where we used to have it when I played there.
Yeah.
And I put a circle on it and said, here. Well, I had people, they wanted to tee it up. You can't tee it up when you are going to a drop area.
You know what? And that's not just beginners. Molly tried to do that not too long ago at Papago. She hit it in the water. And she got to the drop area and she took a tee out. I'm like, Molly, you can't tee it up. She goes, oh, okay.
I had,
I'm like, is this your first time here?
But it seems like you could, right? Because like you're going to a different area,
I
so
mean,
you're like,
it's a-
oh,
it's
like it's
like a
another
team
shot,
area.
yeah.
Yeah. But I had a lady who walked up to the area that she's going to tee off from. She just threw the ball down, moved it around with her club till she got it on the right spot.
Oh, and at a
Well,
drop
I
area,
will
you
say
have to
that
do it
drop
official
area kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does.
It did suck, but it was better than the option that they had.
But let's say that. So there's an official drop area. You have to drop it from your knee again, like as an official drop. Like once it drops, it's in play. You can't touch it anymore. That's
What?
still.
Can we go over the drop? Because like, you know, this was like so standard, like the arm, like your arm's like 90 degree. And now I'm like, do I bend my knees? If I bend my knees, I'm lower. Like the ball's not going to like move as much.
Do
like,
I go in a full
like,
crouch?
Yeah. Like I'm like, how do I drop
They
it
did
now?
that because when you're on a hill and say you're dropping out of a bush in the desert, and as soon as you drop it from your arm length, that ball's going to roll right back in the bush.
Yeah.
So they're
So
trying
it's-
to make it so that it doesn't
It
have
might
so
stop.
much.
On number one at Papago, no matter what crouching position you're in, it's still going to roll.
It's rolling.
Hey, at least you all
gum.
didn't play, or maybe Tara did, but when you had to drop it over your head,
No, that's
Over your
hilarious.
shoulder.
over your shoulder.
Now,
Like
I had
blind
that
luck.
happen in one of my tournaments. I was a rules official for. I saw these two elderly ladies, and they were over by the water, and they were taking a drop. And here they do. They just drop it right over their shoulder. And I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And I went over to her, I go, what are you guys doing? And she goes, well, we're dropping our balls. And I go, well, you hold it out here. And oh, no, this is the way you drop. And, I mean, we had an argument.
Yeah. Just a reminder to all listeners that our podcast is on YouTube too. So you'll see us doing a lot of arm. Well, if you're just
Not
listening,
Tori.
you can't see us do any arm movements. That's what you check out the
That's
YouTube
true.
video. But before we move on to the next rule, I have to bring up something. So after Desert Classic, I send out a survey to see, what people liked, disliked, what we could do better, whatnot. And I'd say one of the consistent dislikes is these women that come from out of state and have to hit out of the desert. Oh I mean, they cannot
I don't like
believe
it being here.
but it is they don't they think it's, I don't know. I'm so used to hitting out of the desert. I don't think twice about it with my clubs because it is what it is.
Well, somebody asked me if I had a desert club.
Yeah.
They asked
Shannon
me
has
too.
a desert club because she got new clubs. I was like, where's your desert club? She showed it to me on the first day.
And I hope that's her 14th club too, because it does
you can't
count
just
as a
add
club.
it.
Yeah. No, so it's just interesting because we're so used to it. I mean, yeah, you don't want to hit off a rock, because sometimes you do get these desert lies that they're brutal. They do take chunks out of your clubs, but it is what it is. Welcome to Arizona. And even if we were to switch courses,
It's
still going to probably be desert. So anyway. All right. Next rule. Oh,
Well, one
yeah.
thing I think one of the main things that people need to realize that if you're taking a penalty, you always get 2 club lengths. If it's a free drop, it's always only 1 club length.
and
which
you
is-
can clean your ball.
Yeah, which is a good segue into dropping it from the cart path, which is considered a free relief.
You
But
can
what is a
clean
cart
your-
path at Papago?
Well, that was a good question.
And we did have that
Yeah,
because it was just the cement ones that were a drop. And it's
Yeah.
always been that way even when I played there.
Yeah.
Well, they never had cement when we
You have
played
to
there.
do it that way because there's just so many
Interpretation.
places that could be, like there was a drop or a little road and then another little road. Well, what's
exactly.
considered the cart path?
So what are some other examples other than a cart path? So we're going to go through that rule.
Ground under repair.
Casual water.
Casual water,
I remember in
man-made.
ground under repair, when you take
Embedded ball.
relief, you have to take full relief. Same with the cart path. You have to get yourself completely off, not just get away from it. If a foot's on it, if a
Yeah.
club's on it, if anything's on it, you have to redrop.
Isn't
Yeah.
that true with a hazard as well, though? Because if you take relief from a
Yeah, it
red or
can't
yellow,
roll
you
back.
can't.
It can't roll back.
Can your
into it.
stance be
Your stance can still be in it.
in a hazard, but not in?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
But on a ground under repair, you have to be out of it.
Okay, so let's list some. We kind of list some other free relief. So what are some examples of free relief that you get one club length
Animal hole. If you have an animal that's burrowed into something,
Gopher, snake.
gopher, snake, whatever, you get free relief from that. And
Cable
if you can't
boxes,
get
like,
your
what is-
ball, if you can't get your ball out of the hole, you can drop another ball.
from? What is it? What is man? Is it man-made? Is that the term?
Yes.
That rule's changed.
Yeah, that's kind of
Oh, that's old. Well, what would a cable box be then?
a cable box would be.
Swing and stance.
Obstruction.
It's just an obstruction.
But it's not line of sight anymore. It used to be line of sight.
So it has to be. So let's say you're near a cable box. That cable box has to be within your swing path.
Right.
Take a big swing.
Get
And
your driver out.
And your feet.
That's your intent. Is I'm going to hit my driver from this line. I've never done it before, but I'm going to do it now.
Oh, I changed my mind.
Hey, well, that has happened where somebody took relief from a cart path, but they took it as if they were going to hit the ball left-handed when they're a right-handed golfer. Do you remember that?
Right.
And you can do that.
Yep. If your intent is to hit the ball that way, and no one can discuss that's not your intent, right? So you can. So I
then
actually had
once
this
you
happen at the Desert Classic. Yeah. So I hit it on my favorite hole, 12 which does not fit my eye at.
The short par 4?
No, the next one.
13.
13.
Oh yeah, no. I hate
So
that hole.
13.
Yeah.
Of course, I hit it right, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm in the desert. So I get up there, and I take my stance. I was like, Lindsay, there's a sprinkler head on my stance. And she's like, seriously? It's like, I can make it on my stance. And I'm like, girls, sprinkler head on my stance. They're like, yep, okay. And I like dropped. Doesn't mean I hit it good. I might have shanked it from there, but let's say. But yeah, like I used the rules to my advantage. I was like, oh, I'm going to punch a 4-iron from here. And then I drop it. And I was like, oh, look, I have a wedge.
Yeah, that's perfectly
Fancy.
fine.
So you can, when you're taking the drop, it can be whatever your intent is, but you can still change. Technically, you can still change your
Once
mind after
it's
the
back
drop.
in play, you can change everything.
Well, because the tree wasn't in my way. Once
And
I
that's
dropped
what
it.
happened with this person who took this drop left-handed, which got her on the cart path, and then she got relief from the cart path. So then she's in the fairway.
Yeah.
Kicks
I
our
just keep
ass.
going. I just keep going.
That's really what the rules are for. They're not to punish you, they're to help you.
Yeah. So when you're taking free relief, you're going to take your stance with the club that you think you're going to use, but can the stance be, it's your closest relief, no closer to the hole still?
Right.
And then you're going to mark where your club head is there, and then you get 1 club length from there, and then you
Stance
drop.
and club
And
length
you
is
know
always
you
how I
don't
take it.
have to go through the motion of putting
A gazillion tees
your
down.
tees down and doing all this.
You don't
stuff.
have to do
No.
that.
Somebody could say, "Hey, I think you overdid." So then you go back and do it, but you don't have to put all those
Okay.
tees in the ground.
Another thing that I learned a while ago is that when you're taking a provisional, you don't have to tell them what your provisional is as far as what's the new ball is. Like you just announce that you're taking a
Yeah,
provisional and that's it.
absolutely.
You don't have to
Absolutely.
say my provisional is a Titleist 3 with red dots.
Well, you should, because how do we know then that when you find your ball that it wasn't your provisional?
Yeah,
I
but you
think
don't have
that goes
to.
back. That goes to etiquette.
Yeah.
Well, it does, but
Yeah.
trust me, there are some people out there that would.
You know?
Well, and know too that all the balls in my bag are pretty much the same.
Boom.
So exactly. So when I take a provisional, I have to mark it differently. I have to. There's been times where I haven't had a marker and I didn't mark it and I took a provisional and I hit it in the same effing place and you're like, okay, I don't know.
You mean kind of like the first hole of the short course?
Yeah. Listen.
Oh, Kim looks a little bitter over there.
Well,
So I'd like to say about number 11 is next year I'm going to move the drop area.
I love it. You know what, Pat?
To
you
the
just
right
take-
of the green.
Yes. So there won't be any water to go over the second time.
Okay.
And
I
that'll
like that.
really speed up
Yeah.
those
I like it.
Because
older
they
people.
still.
You're in the older crowd.
And you hit it in the water, Kim. Okay, just because you didn't need Pat to help you with your drop doesn't
And
mean you weren't in the
also,
water
ladies,
too.
if I'm there next year and
You will be.
I give you some things that I tell you about the hole, like the wind's behind you.
It's 112
it's
yards.
130 yards, but you know it's pretty long. Do you use more club?
Hint, nudge, nudge.
Exactly.
I can't tell you what to do, but I was trying to help.
Okay, next rule. Let's go over when your ball moves on the putting green. So you've marked your ball on the putting green, you figure out your line, you take your mark off, you get in your stance, and oh shit, your ball just moved.
Right.
Then what?
Now, once you've marked the ball, then that's the ball's place.
If it goes in the hole, it's great.
No.
Not once you've
Not
marked
anymore?
it. Once
Once
you've
you've
marked,
marked
it,
it,
you have to
You have
replace it to where it was.
replace it.
Even
But
if the wind blows and you can't keep it in that same spot?
Absolutely. See, that's what
That
used to
rule's
happen in the
changed.
past.
Okay,
Yeah. That's what used to happen in the past.
So once you mark your ball, it's almost like you're making it official. Like that
Official.
is my spot
Right.
on the putting green.
But before that, if you haven't marked it and it blows or moves or whatever, then you have to play it where
Or a bird takes it.
right, or whatever.
Canadian geese at Papago who's like, I don't like
Once
you.
you mark it, that's its home.
Okay, so what happens if you pick up your mark, you get in your stance, and you're on a little bit of a, the wind moves it, or even
Right.
the elevation of the putting green moves it, then what do you do?
Then you just bring it back and place it to where.
Do you have
If
to
you've
remark?
if you've grounded your club, is it a penalty?
No,
Not anymore.
not anymore.
No. So it's really under no circumstances are you getting a penalty if your ball moves on its
The
own.
putting green is so liberal right now.
Is it?
That rule's changed a lot
can-
because if you
you
were
can-
standing over it and your ball moved, even
You're
if
fucked.
you're
Oh, no.
yeah,
You're
that's a
If-
one-stroke
if
penalty.
you
Yeah,
happen to move it by
Well,
touching it or whatever,
And then there's the conflict too. Well, the wind did it.
how can you show me that the wind did it?
I mean, I remember at a state team event where that happened to somebody and they wanted they didn't want a penalty or anything. And
Yeah, I remember playing at Baylor in West Texas. Like, we had a tournament out in Lubbock, and the wind was blowing like crazy. And like, the coach basically was like, "Don't ground your club, don't ground your putter, because if you never ground your putter, you're not addressed to it." And like, do you know how hard it is to change your like putting stance to be like?
Well, that's same.
Yeah,
with,
no, I would be
putting your-
nervous, Nelly.
It's
Yeah.
the same with putting your club on the ground when you're hitting an iron or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so your ball moves. You don't have to remark your ball in order to move it back. You
No.
just say, "My ball
just-
moved an inch. I'm going to move it back,"
Yes.
and probably tell everyone that that happened.
Yeah.
What if you whiff it? Like, those are classic.
you whipped a putter.
Well, yes, I did. So
Maybe I need to change my mind.
I know, right? So, well, because there's no circle of friends, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Like a circle of love around the hole.
Yes.
Oh, so you did a little.
So I went and like I lost my balance, and I was like,
like with a very short putt.
it was on the lip,
Oh, then that's.
and
it's
I
a
was like,
stroke.
and then I hit it again, and I was like, that's a 6, and they're like, no, that's a 5, and I was like, no, my first intent was to hit the putt.
Nice. You know what? I hope you learned from that.
It didn't matter. My partner got a 5, so I was like, thank God.
But the putting green and the teeing ground is very, very lenient. On the tee, the ball can fall off. You can hit
Yeah.
it.
Well, and
Mike Weir's really good at that.
Yeah, or who else keeps hitting
Mike
hitting
Weir.
their ball? No, but it's Zach Johnson too. He would
Oh, that's
be
who it
doing
was,
a
Zach.
practice
Yeah. Yeah, and
swing,
hit it.
and you hit your ball
Yeah.
by accident on a practice
And
swing.
as
and you're
long
okay.
as if you haven't,
Your intent is not to hit the ball.
yeah.
On the tee box, that's okay, but on the fairway, if you were to
It's-
do that, that's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
Wow, that is confusing.
And the same if you just kind of tap the ball with an intent to hit it, and it just goes off then you have to play it down right there.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't want to
we
confuse
don't
people
wanna
any
go
more
too
than
far.
it is, but okay, let's move on to unplayable.
Okay.
So you're in a bush
Yep.
and you can't hit it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you do, Pat?
Well, if you're in the bush,
Or up against a tree, or what other
And you
options
wanna
are
do
there?
a
Up
route.
against a.
I've seen you on a route.
I've been on a route, but
Yeah.
I'll most likely try and whack
I
at
saw
that thing.
I was like,
the biggest thing about being in a bush is to take your relief. You have to take it from where the ball is, not the outer limits of the bush. So
Oh,
if your ball's
gosh.
definitely in the middle, that end of your club should be touching the
Yeah.
end of your ball.
And
or
most
touching the
likely you're
ball,
using your driver to
and you
determine the
use
two
club
stro-
lengths.
two
And
club-
if it doesn't get
Or-
you out,
Then what?
then you want to take I want to go back as far as I want to go.
Keeping
Okay.
that point where the ball is between you and the flag.
Yeah, so let's go over all three options for an unplayable. So you're in a bush.
So you can take 2 club lengths from the ball.
in any direction but
In
closer
any
to the hole.
direction, you have 180 degree any way you want to go.
Okay.
Okay. Or you can take the ball on the line to the flag stick and go back
As far as you
wanna
want.
go.
Okay.
Or you can go replay
Back.
your same shot.
Yeah.
Or you can always
Yeah.
go back and play your own ball.
Yeah. Okay.
We had
But
that
what's
as a
the-
Desert Classic too.
What's the? Jesus, did you just break all the rules while you were there?
No, we
thinking-
did it correctly. We might have, as my partner and I might have been in a bush on the same hole. I might have had
A whiff.
no.
I mean, a lot of things
No,
have happened.
this was the same
Did you
hole.
win?
Yeah, they
Our
did.
flight. It just happened to be in the same hole that I might have been standing on a sprinkler head. But so yeah, we went back as far as we could online because I was like, look, if you go to the back like 35 yards, you're in the fairway of another hole. So I was like,
Yeah.
go hit it from the fairway over, go hit it like in the desert. And there was no way she was gonna get her club on the ball in that bush. And I was like, and that bush has stickers, so good luck.
So here's the problem.
Stickers.
Like-
Oh, stingers. Like little thorns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ew.
Here's the problem if you can't get it with your 2 clubs and you say there's
And
bush,
I've been
bush
in that.
behind.
Yeah.
So you at that point you may want to go back to your other
Yeah.
ball, or you have to do another penalty.
Unplayable,
You can do
another.
another from wherever you dropped that first ball. You can take another penalty.
Oh yeah, no, we just went back as far as we could on line of between
But
the pin
sometimes you
and the
can't
ball.
because there's so many
Yeah, yeah.
bushes.
So I've been in that scenario before where I have chosen to take an unplayable and I went as far as taking the relief and dropping it. And at that point, once you drop your ball, you can't now say, oh shit, I better go
Yeah,
just
no,
replay
no.
it from you have to really make your decision right away and commit to it, because I have gotten in a situation. It was at stroke play years ago at Quintero, and Quintero, the desert just like falls off, and there's no taking unplayables. It was the stupidest decision I've ever made, but I chose to take an unplayable right there with 2 club lengths. And in hindsight, I needed to go back to the tee box and retee. That was the best option.
One thing I'd like to say is, if you're with a group and you have somebody that's like a rules Nazi that's constantly, just say, hey, if we agree to this, we'll do it. But if we don't, let's get the book out or let's play 2 balls. But don't ever, if you're a rules Nazi, don't ever use those rules to hurt people. They aren't meant to hurt people. They're meant to help people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, ask for help if you need it. So, all right, last one, OB or lost ball. What do you do?
Go for it, Kim.
Why do I have to go for it? If you lose your ball, if you're OB, the only option you have is to retee it.
Yeah, so it's not go where it went into OB and drop it. That is never... It's never an option.
It
right?
is if they've adopted.
Well, if there is a local rule that you can adopt
That
if
makes you go
somebody
out the
goes
fairway.
into the out of bounds.
But at the end of the day, still the
I'll
local
adopt
rule.
that all the time.
I am officially adopting this rule at all times. Thank you.
But
No,
you can't ever go in and play it from wherever it's at, and you can't ever drop where it went in.
Yeah. So, but as long as that local rule is not in play, which is very rare,
Right.
when you hit it out of bounds, you are reteeing it right where you hit it.
Yeah,
out of
most
bounds.
tournaments won't adopt that rule.
Yeah,
That's a
Lost
club.
ball. Yeah.
Just remember, when you have this lost ball and you're not sure it's lost, you want to play the provisional before you go forward, because
Once you go forward, you can't go back.
Wait, you
Well,
gotta
you
gotta
can
give a
go-
scenario,
you can
because
go-
even I know what you're saying, but I don't even
So
understand.
you hit it on number 1 the other day, and you think it might
what?
be out of bounds at the short course
at
of
short
Augustus.
course. Yeah, I hooked it into the
Hooked
houses.
it.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to say, well, I'm going to go look for my ball, and then you don't find it, I'm going to go back. You can't go back. Well,
I'm going to go back and hit a provisional while you guys keep looking.
you can't hit a provisional. Once you start to walk forward, you cannot go back and hit a provisional.
It gives you actually more time to look for
I
your
see
You
what
can
you're
go
ball.
saying now.
forward about 50 yards and then go, oh, maybe I better hit a provisional first.
Yeah, so I would say if you think you went out of bounds, or you think you hit a ball that you think might be lost, always just hit a provisional.
Can I put a caveat on that?
Yeah.
Don't hit a provisional if you think you hit it in the water.
Yeah, you can't hit a provisional if you think it's in the water.
Okay, why is that?
Because
I don't
Because
make the
now-
rules.
you already have an option for the water, the penalty.
Because there's
area.
a penalty.
Because you can drop it where it crossed the line in the water. But if you hit a provisional, now you're stuck with that one. So now you're hitting stroke plus.
So that doesn't really necessarily mean water. That means any penalty area, though.
any
So if you
penalty
think
area.
because
You
that could be
don't-
desert.
You don't ever get to. You don't.
No,
ever
I would
get
say
to
a
hit
hazard. I would
a
say yellow or
provisional.
red.
It has to be a penalty area.
Yeah.
Well, the desert's not a penalty area.
Well, some
Yeah, it is
places
a penalty area. It hurts my clubs.
Some places will
are
have
a rules
penalty,
person
like
nightmare.
the desert penaltied off. Okay. All right, so that's a good one. So,
So yeah, if you hit it, if there's a lateral or if there's a water hazard, how about that? Off to whatever angle you're going to hit it, don't hit a provisional. But here's the caveat: if you don't see it cross, then it's considered a lost ball.
No, that's
If your group isn't,
If you're all pretty sure, I mean, almost positive that it's crossed, you can still do it.
Your whole group has to
you're
basically agree to that.
Yeah, Kim did it with me. She gave me mercy. And where were we?
Well, and
Oh,
you know
state medallion.
you know it went that way.
Ooh, the state medallion.
Oh, yeah.
I blasted it right on some hole.
Oh, I know. It's that par 4 that was a dog leg.
I don't think it was a dog leg. I just think I made it a dog leg.
I think the other thing with the... I think also with dropping, you have to realize that you have to remember that when you drop your ball, it can roll another two club lengths.
One.
I think
thought
it
was one or
changed.
two.
It's 2 now?
Yeah.
Okay. It can roll another 2 club lengths,
No
and you don't
closer to
have
the
to
hole.
no closer to the hole, and you don't have to redrop
But
it.
that's
And
where that
it's- and
first
it's
tee. That's where the first tee where your ball comes into play, because I remember this in college very vividly. Bad memories. Yeah. So my club, it rolled, and I thought it rolled closer, but it didn't. But it rolled outside that 2 club
Yeah, and
lengths.
that's when you have little mountains and little hills,
Yeah, like when you're on a slant.
you
yeah.
you'll want to use the tees. But
Yeah.
if you're just doing a lateral, you don't have to go
Yeah.
through all that.
And you don't drop it more than 2 times
Yeah, that's when you
Place
just
it.
place it.
where that hit the ground the last time you dropped it.
Okay, a couple of kind of random things I want to touch on before we finish up. Questions I got running the tournament is, what's the max to pick up?
Double handicap.
Well, no,
There
but I want to
is
say
no
there
max.
is no max. So if you're in a tournament and you're, I mean, there's situations where you can pick up your ball if your partner's already in or whatnot, but there's got to be a ball that hits the hole, and there's no max. Like, you need to putt
In
it
a
in.
stroke play event.
But you have to remember, when you're playing best ball, and scramble not so much, but the best ball, if you've got somebody in play, you don't have to keep going.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
'Cause
if
we
you're
had-
out of the hole,
we had
that's...
scores that came in. There was a 5 and there was a 14. Now this person that had 14, they could have picked up back at 8.
Yeah.
You know,
They wanted to keep
Stop
going.
talking about me and my partner,
don't keep
because 14 was me.
don't keep hitting the ball.
Yes. I also got, is there relief out of divots? I have yet to play an event where I get
Never.
I
relief
thought
out
that
of
rule
a
was supposed to
divots.
change this year.
Never,
No,
never,
it's never
never.
Yeah,
going to
and it
change.
never-
And it will never
Because
change.
everybody's interpretation of a divot is so different.
Yeah.
And the
So-
ball's meant to be played down.
I know.
So.
Just take more club out of a divot.
And
No.
make the divot bigger. That's what I say to myself
Make the
when I'm
divot
swinging.
bigger.
And cuss at whoever the course designer is to have all the divots in the same spot.
Exactly. Okay, one last thing. It is, when you're playing in a tournament, it is customary to trade scorecards with whoever you're
Absolutely.
playing with
Absolutely.
and verify scores at the end.
Absolutely.
Nobody should be keeping their own score. But
Okay. So that's
somebody else doesn't have access to it.
And depending on how serious this tournament is, you need to make sure you should always have the person who kept your card, or you read your score back to them
at the end of the round.
at the end of the round, so you know it's correct.
Hole
because
by hole.
hole by
Hole
hole,
by
because I was disqualified. It was a national tournament, but I was only disqualified for the day because it was the state team. So they only took 2 out of the 3 scores, and so my score couldn't count
Yeah.
that day.
I was waiting for you to be like, pop in like Golf Genius and be like, and you should put it in Golf Genius. Thank you.
No, I mean, I only do that to you. But that has happened to me before, where I've been playing with someone that's been keeping my score, and they said to me, okay, you shot a 36-37. And I was like, yep. And we didn't go hole by hole. And then the tournament director did go hole by hole like they should. And I didn't, like, they took the score that was on there. So they just added it up wrong, but we just went by each
Oh, I
round.
had it happen to me at Q school.
Yeah, always go hole by hole.
Yeah, I had it at first stage of Q school. I actually turned myself in because I looked at the scoreboard because they put it hole by hole, right, on LPGA events or whatever. And I was like, I didn't have that. And so I went and I actually had to ask the rules official. I said, can you give me my scorecard? And I had to DQ myself from final
for
for
you.
first stage
Not
because
good for you, but good for
yeah,
you.
but for
being
first stage
honest.
because the total score was correct, but the holes were wrong.
Yeah,
So I DQ'd myself.
yeah.
Me too, because I was looking at the scoreboard and I was like, I didn't have that on that hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all happens. There's lessons that we all learn eventually.
And it shouldn't happen more than once, though.
Exactly. All right. Well, there's so many more. Even just talking about that, I was like, okay, what if you hit someone else's ball? That would have been a good one. We'll do that at another show. But let's check out part 2, where we're going to go over top 5 etiquette rules, or should we call them rules? Top 5 etiquette.
No, just etiquette.
Etiquette that you should know every time you go into a tournament. But thanks for listening to this show. Thanks, guys.
Be sure to check out the show notes for all the details on today's show. If you haven't already, please give a 5-star written review on your favorite podcast platform, or even screenshot this episode and send it to your golf buddies. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the first tee in a couple days.